Bienvenidos a la clase de Español 1. Este es capítulo 11, lección 29B. So this is chapter 11 of Spanish 1, lesson 29B. We're going to start off today with our homework review, where we will look over page 210, activities 2A, B, and C in your cuaderno. Then we'll move on to the second half of lesson 29, where we will review everything we did in 29A, including our verb infinitive combinations. And then we'll also take a look at some new grammar for today, and that's using cual and cuales instead of que. And then we'll look at the irregular preterite conjugations of the verbs decir and traer. So let's go ahead and get started with our homework review. This is Cuaderno, página 210, 210, actividades 2A, B, and C. If you have not done these activities, you should stop the video now and make sure that you have gotten those activities done for homework. You should not watch this video until you have your homework done. Let's go ahead and get started. Take a look at that homework from last night. Actividad 2A, verbo más infinitivo. Complete las oraciones de una manera original usando un infinitivo diferente para cada oración. Complete the sentences in an original way using a different infinitive for each sentence. Here's the modelo. A las 9 comenzamos a estudiar historia. At 9 o'clock, we start to study history. Número 1. Mis amigos van a mi casa a, so we see ir, van, plus a, plus an infinitive. So my friends come to my house to do what? To do something. You could put anything there for número 1. Mis amigos van a mi casa a estudiar para el examen. My friends come to my house to study for the test. Número 3. Ayer mis hermanos salieron a, yesterday, my brothers went out to comprar un carro, to buy a car. Who knows? You could do anything you want there after salir plus a plus the infinitivo. Número 5. Roberto siempre se olvida de, remember it's olvidar plus de plus an infinitive. So Robert always forgets to do what? Whatever it is he forgets to do. Maybe he forgets to eat breakfast. You could say, Roberto siempre se olvida de desayunar. Número 7. Mi familia y yo tratamos de, my family and I try to do something. Tratar plus de plus the infinitive. Mi familia y yo tratamos de hablar francés. My family and I try to speak French. Número 9. El viernes empezamos a, Friday, we start to conjugate verbs. El viernes empezamos a conjugar los verbos. So whatever you want there, but remember what what word comes in between these conjugated verbs plus the infinitives. For número 1, it's ir plus a plus the infinitive. For número 3, salir plus a plus the infinitive. For número 5, olvidarse plus de plus the infinitive. Don't forget that word that comes between the conjugated verb and the infinitive. Actividad B, preguntas. And these can be answered many different ways. ¿Qué deseas para comer? ¿Qué deseas comer para la cena esta noche? What do you want to eat for dinner tonight? ¿Qué deseas comer para la cena esta noche? You would say, I want to eat something for dinner. Yo quiero comer, or yo deseo comer hamburguesas para la cena esta noche. I desire to eat. Deseo comer. Número 2. ¿Qué acaban de practicar ustedes? What did you all just practice? We just practiced verbs, but that was number 2, and I forgot to skip that one. So we're doing número 3. Número 3. ¿Necesitan volver a la clase mañana? Do you all need to return to class tomorrow? ¿Necesitan volver a la clase mañana? Sí. Necesitamos volver a la clase mañana. Yes, we need to return to class tomorrow. Número 5. No te vas a olvidar de sacar muchas fotos durante las vacaciones, ¿verdad? Don't forget to take a lot of pictures during vacation. No me voy a olvidar de sacar muchas fotos durante las vacaciones. I won't forget to take a lot of pictures on vacation. Actividad C. Escribe la preposición correcta, either a or de, en el espacio if it's necessary. Número 1. Antes de salir, traté de llamarte por teléfono, because we know it's tratar plus de plus the infinitive. Número 3. A menudo Felipe se olvida de hacer su tarea. Often, Philip forgets to do his homework. Se olvida de, because we know it's olvidarse plus de plus an infinitive. Número 5, number 5. Ellos siempre tratan de levantarse temprano. They always try to get up early. Tratar plus de plus the infinitive. Número 7. Mis amigos empezaron a estudiar ayer. My friends started to study yesterday. Remember, empezar plus a plus the infinitive. Make sure you're marking any corrections that you have in red and let me know if you don't understand why you missed what you missed so that you're making the most of your homework each day. Let's go ahead and take a look at our lesson here for the day. We're looking at página 231. We've been talking about Peru for a number of days, the three divisions of the areas of Peru, la costa, las montañas, la selva. La capital is Lima. And again, if you haven't watched that video yet on the top 10 reasons to visit Lima, Peru, or to visit Peru, make sure that you've done that. I think you'll enjoy that video there. Let's review our first verse from this chapter, 1 de Corintios 15:3b. Cristo murió por nuestros pecados conforme a las Escrituras. 1 Corintios 15:3b. El versículo de esta lección es Mateo 4:19. Y les dijo, venid en pos de mí, y os haré pescadores de hombres. Mateo 4:19. Clase, ¿qué palabra nos falta aquí? ¿Qué palabra nos falta aquí? La respuesta es hombres, men, hombres. ¿Qué palabra nos falta aquí? Pos. En pos de means after. Pos. Número 3, ¿qué palabra nos falta aquí? La respuesta es pescadores. Fishers, pescadores. Y aquí, ¿qué palabra nos falta? La respuesta es venid. Come, venid. Y número 5, ¿qué palabra nos falta? La respuesta es haré. That's the future of the verb hacer. I will make. Haré. And in our reading, our lectura, we've been talking about future plans. ¿Cuáles son tus planes para el futuro? What are your plans for the future? We talked about Mario Baez, who wants to be a mechanic. He talked about how people brought a bus to his dad to be fixed. His dad was a mechanic and he wanted to be a mechanic as well. Ramona Payano wants to be a secretaria. We also talked about Pablo Trinidad, who has interest in los asuntos legales, that's law or matters of the law. Pienso estudiar leyes. I plan to study the law. So Pablo Trinidad quiere ser abogado. He wants to be a lawyer. Carmen Rosario quiere ser economista. She wants to be an economist. And Rubén Torres quiere ser misionero. He wants to be a missionary. Right, make sure you're looking through those. Try your best to understand what is being asked on each of those. Let's see if we can do some of these questions here. Let's look at número 1. ¿Qué quiere ser Mario Baez? ¿Qué quiere ser Mario Baez? What does Mario Baez want to be? Well, if we looked at the reading that we had from just a few slides ago, we know that Mario Baez wants to be a mecánico. So make sure you're looking at those and you know what each of those people wanted to be and you're understanding what was written for each of those sections. El vocabulario de esta lección son ocupaciones. These are jobs. Enfermero, nurse, enfermero. Obrero, worker, obrero. Empresario, businessman, empresario. Aeromozo, stewardess, aeromozo. Mecánico, mechanic, mecánico. Secretario, secretary, secretario. Maestro, teacher, maestro. Médico, medic or doctor, doctor. Abogado, lawyer, abogado. Ingeniero, engineer, ingeniero. Let's review our pronunciación. We have two letters in Spanish whose sound can change quite a bit depending on what follows it. For now, let's remember that the C and the G, when followed by A, O, or U, will make the hard sound that you would expect. Ka, ko, ku. Ga, go, gu. But if those two letters are followed by E or I, then they would be soft. say, see, and he, he. That's why that C has to change to a QU when it's followed by an E or an I. And that G has to change to a GU when it's followed by an E or an I to keep that g sound or that k sound, pronunciación. They have several cognates here that we've been talking about. Remember that words that end in I-Z-E in Spanish can be changed to, or I-Z-E in English, can be changed to I-Z-A-R in Spanish, making it very easy to translate these words. So authorize would become autorizar. Fertilize, fertilizar. Legalize, legalizar. What would the word harmonize become in Spanish? What would the word mobilize become in Spanish? A cultural note that we've been looking at here, the education system in Spanish-speaking countries. And it's different than what we would have here in America. En muchos países hispanos, la educación es obligatoria hasta el sexto o octavo grado. So it's mandatory only until 6th or 8th grade. After that, they can choose to continue, the students can. They can choose to enroll in a university and end up getting their bachelor's degree by the time they would graduate from high school. So they can choose a carrera or a major at that point. So it's set up a little bit different than what we would be used to here in the States. So let's review a little bit from our last lesson where we talked, we did this in our homework assignment as well just a few minutes ago. Verbo más infinitivo. For many Spanish words, you can just stack a conjugated verb and an infinitive right next to each other. You have several examples of this that we talked about in our last lesson as well as homework from last night. Él espera estudiar. He hopes to study. Notice that there's nothing in between those two verbs. We go right from él espera to estudiar without the need for any type of word in between, which makes it very simple. There's nothing there at all. Same thing with poder. Él puede estudiar. There's no word in between there. Él puede estudiar. He can study. These examples, however, are a little bit different. We do have words that come in between with these. So you can't just go from your conjugated verb straight to your infinitive. Él va a estudiar. He is going to study. Notice the a that comes in between those two verbs. Él sale a estudiar. Él sale a estudiar. He goes out to study. Él viene a estudiar. He comes to study. So ir a, salir a, venir a, empezar a. But then the last four that we have on this chart use de in between the conjugated verb and the infinitive. Acaba de estudiar. He has just studied. Él deja de estudiar. He stops studying. Él trata de estudiar. He tries studying. Él se olvida de estudiar. He forgets to study. So when you learn this main verb, try to learn the preposition that comes after it. That way you will always know which preposition needs to go in between the conjugated form of that verb and an infinitive that might follow it. Today we need to talk about a new word, and that's cuál, or the plural form, cuáles. Now this word is very similar to our word que, which means what. Cuál and cuáles are often translated what, but really they have a more specific use of which. And that means you're choosing from a list. When asking for a choice, we would use the word cuál and cuáles, which or what, instead of que. So the singular form is cuál. ¿Cuál es tu libro favorito? Which is your favorite book? The plural form then would be cuáles. ¿Cuáles son tus deportes favoritos? Which ones are your favorite sports? So it's the plural form. Notice how cuál took the singular verb es, and cuáles took the plural verb son there. So make sure you're using the right verb. Que would typically be followed by a noun. ¿Qué libro es tu favorito? What book is your favorite? Not ¿cuál libro es tu favorito? ¿Qué libro es tu favorito? Let's look at actividad 5 here. Pregunte a otro estudiante acerca de sus cosas favoritas. Ask another student about his favorite things. So we're going to ask about, in the modelo, they ask about la comida, the food. So the question that would be asked is, ¿cuál es tu comida favorita? Which is your favorite food? And then the answer would be, mi comida favorita es whatever, la pizza. My favorite food is pizza. All right, so I'd like you to do the odds here. 1, 3, 5, y 7. 1, 3, 5, y 7. Do those on scratch paper or do those in a spot in your workbook. Write both the question and the answer, and then we'll check those when you're done. Okay, I hope that went well for you. So let's see the question and the answer for número 1 about el libro. You would say, ¿cuál es tu libro favorito? Which is your favorite book? Mi libro favorito es Don Quijote, whatever your favorite book is. Número 3, el día de la semana, your favorite day of the week. ¿Cuál es tu día favorito de la semana? Which is your favorite day of the week? Mi día favorito es el viernes, el sábado, el domingo, whichever one is your favorite day of the week. Notice here that día, el día is a masculine word. So we have día favorito, not día favorita. Because remember, adjectives must agree in gender and number with the words they modify. Número 5, las clases. Your question and answer should be, ¿cuáles son? Notice how it's plural there, because clases is plural. So, ¿cuáles? Which ones are tus clases favoritos? Which ones are your favorite classes? Mis clases favoritas son español y inglés, or whichever classes are your favorite, but it's probably Spanish and English. Número 7, la revista, the magazine. So you would ask, what is your favorite magazine? ¿Cuál es tu revista favorita? Mi revista favorita es Newsweek, whichever is your favorite magazine. Remember to mark any corrections in red so that we can check those together if you have questions. Then we need to talk a little bit about the verbs decir and traer. Remember that decir means to say or to tell, and traer means to bring. These verbs are a little bit unusual in their conjugated forms in the preterite or the past tense, el pretérito. And we are looking at these verbs on página 243 in your textbook. In Spanish, there are several groups of irregular preterite verbs, and these are a couple of them. We call these J group in the preterite because their stem will get a J. Look at the forms of decir. For decir, to say or to tell, I said would be dije, yo dije, tú dijiste, usted, él, ella dijo, nosotros dijimos, ustedes, ellos, ellas dijeron. Notice it's that D-I-J stem for all of the conjugated forms of decir. Also notice that there are no written accent marks in these irregular preterite forms. The verb traer works very similarly, to bring. So the preterite form gets that J, traj. T-R-A-J is the stem that you would use. Yo traje, tú trajiste, usted, él, ella trajo. Again, no accent mark here. Nosotros trajimos, we brought. Ustedes, ellos, ellas trajeron. You all or they brought. Remember, we call these the J group verbs because verbs like these will get that J as well. Another verb that works this way is conducir, to drive. Conduje, condujiste, condujo, condujimos, condujeron. Okay, so keep track of those J group verbs. They get that J in all the conjugated forms and no accent marks. So let's try a few examples here. Let's see how we do. Actividad 6 en página 244 in your textbook. Complete las oraciones con el verbo indicado en el pretérito. So complete the sentences with the indicated verb in the preterite. So for número 1 y 3, we have decir, then we have traer, then we have conducir. Go ahead and do these on scratch paper or in a section in your workbook, and we'll come back and check those in just a moment. All right, so I hope you did well on those, and let's check and see how you did. Número 1 for decir. Anoche yo le dije un secreto a María. Número 3. Ellas se lo dijeron a Marta. Por traer, Paco trajo tacos a la reunión. Número 3. Yo traje papitas. Por conducir, to drive. Número 1. El año pasado, Tomás condujo un BMW. Número 3. Un día, yo conduje un Jaguar. Conduje. Right? Remember to mark corrections in red, and if you have any questions, you let me know. Actividad 7. Change these verbs to the preterite. Now, this really shouldn't be too difficult for you. All you're doing is taking the verb that's listed for each one of these and changing it to the preterite form. Make sure you're watching for any irregulars that we might have. Actividad 7 está en página 244. Cambie los verbos al pretérito. Número 1. Tomás conduce un camión a la iglesia. Thomas drives a truck to school. So let's change conduce to the preterite form. Tomás condujo un camión a la iglesia. Go ahead and do the odds here. 1, 3, 5, 7, y 9. And then we'll come back together and we'll talk through the answers. Okay, I hope that went well for you. Número 3. El pastor le dijo que hacen falta más sillas. Dijo. Número 5. Pedro y Marcos condujeron otro camión. Condujeron. Número 7. Las visitas les dijeron muchas gracias. Dijeron. Y número 9. Todos se sintieron contentos. Número 9 was not a changer. Did not have that J group, so I hope you got that one right. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, and that wraps it up for today's lesson. This was Chapter 11, Lesson 29, the second half. We did some homework review. We reviewed all of our vocab. We went over Matthew 4:19, talked about Peru and school in Hispanic countries. We reviewed pronunciation of the letters C and G. We talked about our cognates, IZE to ZAR words. We reviewed our infinitive combinations with different verbs. And then we talked about cuál and cuáles. And we talked about the irregular conjugations of the verb decir and traer. I hope you understood what we did in the lesson. If you didn't understand what we went through, please reach out and let's get that taken care of so that you're understanding what we went over in today's lesson. Make sure you check the lesson plan so that you get your homework done for our next lesson. Que Dios les bendiga, clase. Adiós.